to talk about activating the magic of your soul. And some of the keys on understanding it is so important. And I'm looking forward to sharing some ideas about that with all of you today. You are all, every human being on this planet is a magical being. The difference is those who are consciously aware of it and those who deny it. And that's our free will choice. And what choice is our power, our willpower to make the choice to do something or to not do it. The choice, ultimately, all of us, is to love or to withdraw love. And depending on the choices that we make, will precipitate into the experiences that we encounter in our lives. So activating the magic of your soul is understanding, first of all, that you are a magical being. And every human being is. And some have become conscious of that and are actively participating in that, using their free will choice to be magical. And there are those who also choose not to. They're not bad, they're not wrong, they're not ready. But when you're ready and you become conscious of the magic, not only of yourself, but of life around you. And that's where it usually begins. Most people start to see, as they wake up to their own magician inside of them, as they wake up to the magic within them, as they start to see the synchronicities and the coincidences. And after a while, you realize, what is the common denominator here? It's you. You are creating those synchronicities. You are creating those coincidences. And when you can understand it's your subconscious mind and your higher self working together, you can start to actively participate with your conscious mind. And magic, the definition of magic, is changing reality in accordance and compliance with your will, your choice. It is changing reality in accordance and compliance to your will, your imagination, and your love, and your choice, ultimately, the free will choice. And so you and everyone is creating their reality. A lot of people are doing it unconsciously. A lot of people are doing it from victim and powerlessness and all those things that they're holding in their consciousness, thus creating a reality that appears as if they have nothing to do with it, but they still are creating it. And as you can embrace the idea that everyone is magical, we're spiritual beings. We come from the divine. We have a soul and a spirit within us. And as that energy of the divine within us, we have the free will choice to function from there or to withdraw from there. Meaning we have an ego and we have a truer self. We have an empowered self. And we all begin the journey in our ego and trying to figure life out on our own and trying to discover our unique individuality. That's part of the plan. But the challenge of spiritual growth, the challenge of being the magician, is then to reach into consciously, to choose to remember who you are. And people are waking up on our world. There's a great awakening happening in the world. And it's fascinating. People are becoming conscious. People are recognizing and realizing there's something more to me than just paying the bills and having a family and keeping my kids safe or whatever. There's more to life than just the basics. And that's a beautiful thing. And as you are waking up, understanding the power of meditation, understanding the beauty of who you are by consciously disconnecting from the outside world of noise, confusion, and going into your inner world. That's the real world, is your inner world. Because your inner world is made up of your imagination, of your intuition, of your wisdom, of your emotions, your feelings, of your thoughts and your beliefs and your attitudes. That's what's real. And you see, reality, what we call reality, is the outside world, but that is a reflection, an expression of your consciousness. So what people do is they try to change the illusion, the physical world, but they never change their consciousness, and it never ever lasts. But when you can shift and change your inner world, the outer world has to change. It's not a hope or a maybe or if I do it properly. No, it has to change. It's kind of like your consciousness is this hand, right? And you imagine there's a wall behind here and there's a shadow of the hand on the wall. That's the illusion. That's the physical world, the shadow. But when you change your consciousness, your mind, guess what? That illusion called the shadow has to change. When you change what's real, the illusion, the physical world, has to change. And so magic is understanding that, first of all, you are a powerful spiritual being. And everyone is. But most, unfortunately, in our world, have denied that. They've bought into the illusion. They've bought into the lie that they're somehow powerless, or they're a sinner and they're worthless and they don't matter, and all the garbage that religion, unfortunately, has pounded into people from the time they're little. I'm not saying religion's bad, but it's not spirituality. There's two different things. Religion is a group of men's attempt to control and manipulate your spirituality, called whatever, label they give it. Some are less damaging, some are much more loving and compassionate, but they're all the same thing. It's not your spirituality. So to activate the magic of your soul is to take back your power and to develop your personal relationship with the divine. That's what spirituality is. It is your personal and very private relationship with God, Goddess, all that is. And that's what I get to choose to engage in. I get to choose. And so to activate the magic of your soul, it requires you to own your spiritual nature. It requires you to step into the power of who you are. And that power activates the magic of your soul that has always been there, perhaps dormant, but it's needing to awaken. And there is a great awakening happening in the consciousness of humankind. People that you would never think would ever figure things out and get their life together are starting to wake up to truth. And it's beautiful, and I see it happening and rippling out all around, and the different people, and it's going to continue. It's just beginning. It's going to continue as time unfolds, and what a different world we will create. And right now, we're in the destructive mode. We're breaking down old systems that no longer work. As I mentioned about religion, taking back your power from religion and choosing and consciously creating your own relationship with the divine. You don't need a middleman. You don't need somebody there to do it for you, to absolve your sins. And you never have needed that. But as a collective in consciousness, we all thought we did for many years. And that's okay, but we've evolved, we've grown past it. And so those old systems are crumbling, and it looks like complete chaos, because all change produces chaos. Well, would you agree the world is very chaotic right now? Because the world is changing. Now, your relationship to the world determines the quality of change that you will experience. What does that mean, Michaiel? I don't understand what you're saying. Well, what do I bring into chaos will determine the outcome of the change. Do I bring my fear, my self-doubt, my confusion, my worry? Do I bring my manipulation and control into chaos? When everything gets out of control, and I try to control everybody and everything, what do I bring into the chaos is going to affect the change? Or do I choose, again, free will choice, to bring love, trust, hope, inspiration into the chaos? What I add to the chaos of the world not only will affect my own personal experience of the world, but it will affect the world at large, because we're all connected to each other. So your relationship with chaos, so important. And trust me, there's a lot of chaos out there. And it's so important to activate the magic of your soul, is to periodically to pause, to periodically push in the clutch, shift gears into slow down in your reality, to take time for yourself. I do that probably about every 4 to 6 weeks. And the way I manifested and do it is, it used to be, before the pandemic, I used to go to the hot springs and spend the night or two nights there and just be in nature in the hot springs and just be by myself. No phone cell reception up there, so I couldn't be on the devices, and it's just beautiful. But nowadays I have a place that I go to up in Forestville, north of San Francisco. It's about an hour drive, and it's a little cabin, and outdoors there's 9 redwood trees and a hot tub, and I go there and I disconnect from the world. I relax and I think, what's working in my life? What do I want to change in my life? What habits or patterns are outdated that I need to update? I take time to self-reflect, and that is the journey of the magician. To be able to activate your magic, you need to restore and replenish your soul. And the way to restore and replenish your soul is to spend time in solitude, to take time for yourself, because it's so easy to give yourself away and to get all connected in the lives of other people. We're conditioned social creatures to do that. But it's vitally important to awaken the magic, to take time periodically to pull in and to take time for yourself. Now, I do that, like I said, for 2 to 3 days, about every month to 6 weeks, depending on my schedule. And also on Monday nights is my magical Monday nights, is what I call it. And that's when I take time from around 6 p.m. after dinner, and I just have time for myself. Every Monday night I have a date night with Michaiel, and I will sometimes read a little bit, but I journal, and I'll meditate, and I reflect, and I think about things in my life. And so I take a few hours every Monday night to do that. And I work magic. I visualize what I want. I put things out there. I send energy, healing energy to friends and family and people that I'm working with. So it's a time for working my magic, but also for replenishing and taking some time out every week for myself. And it can be 3 to 4 hours until I'm tired, then I go to sleep. And I usually start between 6 and 7, depending on my schedule again. And I'll do 3 to 4 hours. No TV, no Netflix, no distractions, just time out. So activating the magic is about reconnecting with your soul. And in order to reconnect with your soul, it's important to create a pause, to take time out for you. And I hear people often will say, oh, I got so many commitments and so many relationships I have to tend to and deal with. Well, what is the only relationship that you have that is permanent? Is with yourself. And it's the one relationship most people abuse the most. They don't make time for it. Oh, I'll get around to me one day when I take care of everybody else and the kids are grown and they're in college and then they're there and then all this stuff, and I don't ever take time for me. That's just an excuse to devalue yourself. And you see, the second key to activating magic is you need to value who you are. You need to shift and value that you are a spiritual being and that you matter and that you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be at peace. You deserve to have great health. You deserve to take care of yourself. And it's essential because it is the only lasting, permanent relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. And again, like I said, it's the one that most people abuse the most. And that's because we don't know better. It's because we've been conditioned from childhood that, it's better to give than to receive. Well, in balance, you need both, to give and to receive. It might feel good to give, but it also feels good to let yourself receive, especially from yourself. To take time, to pause, to be in nature is another way to replenish your soul. To go to the beach for the day, to go to the park and to sit under a tree and to breathe in the beauty. To breathe in the beauty around you is a way to replenish your soul. And it begins by being aware of it, doesn't it? Beauty is all around us, but we focus on what's wrong, what isn't beautiful, and the ugliness. But what we focus on expands. So I need to pull my awareness back from the ugliness and focus on the beauty. And you do that in nature, and you do that with yourself. To activate the magic is to value yourself. And one way to value yourself is to make time, to take care of yourself, to make time in nature, to make time to appreciate and to breathe in the beauty all around you. That replenishes and strengthens your soul. And when you strengthen and replenish your soul, when you feed your soul, the activation of magic and miracles happen. Every time I go away for those 2 or 3 days, and either go to the hot springs or go to the cabin, I come back and bam, magic happens synchronicities, people that I've been trying to reach out to finally call me back. Things that I've been wanting to have happen in the chaos. When I get centered and clear, it all fits together. So I see this, and that's why I do it. It's so important. It would be silly not to do it because of the value that comes from it, the magic that fits together and activates when I've taken time to pause and to self-reflect. So those are keys to activating the magic. And like I said, the second key is to value yourself, because, and I want you to hear this, there's a direct proportion between your ability, do you hear that dog? There's a direct relationship between your ability to struggle connected to what you think you deserve. Your deservability, your lack of it, creates struggle. And likewise, when you do deserve, when you know you deserve, when you feel valuable, it directly correlates to the magic that takes place in your life. Magic is available to those who believe in it. That's it. Magic is available to those who believe in it and those who feel they deserve to live a more magical life. And you deserve, every human being deserves it, but most aren't at that level of ownership, of recognition, of acknowledgement. Most people don't even believe magic is real. And it won't be for them because they believe it isn't. But magic is real. It happens all the time. As a matter of another technique and secret to activating the magic is to keep a journal on magic and miracles in your life, and start going back to the past and think of things that have happened to you that were beyond coincidental, synchronistic, that you just know is magic. And you've all had those experiences. And write them down in journal. Do like a paragraph or two to describe the circumstances. Where, when, how old were you in your life? And when was it? When did this magical experience take place? When did that miraculous healing happen? To write about it, to focus upon it, to make a book, your magical journal of experiences of miracles in your life. And the more, again, as I mentioned before, what you pay attention to expands. But if I just take it for granted and I say, oh yeah, that happens once in a while, everybody gets a little, boost. But I don't give it the love and the attention that it deserves. But when I do, it becomes even more. It's kind of like gratitude. Today is the day of appreciation and gratitude in the United States, called Thanksgiving. Giving thanks. Thanksgiving. And we celebrate it once a year, but hopefully most people will do it more often than that. Because the more you feel grateful, the more you appreciate and feel gratitude, the more experiences you'll have to be grateful for, because that energy attracts more reasons to be grateful. And likewise with magic. The more you give attention to magic, the more you pay attention and appreciate and are grateful for the magic, the more the magic happens, the more it accelerates. And so recognize and take that journal book and go back through your life and think of the things that were just mind-blowing to you at the time. And it happens all the time. When you give it attention, when you own that you are a magical being, when you make it a part of your image and identity. Yeah, this is who I really am. And yes, I've struggled and I set my power down. And I pretended I was powerless and weak and a victim for many, many years. And I did all that stuff. But I turned it around. I woke up and I've taken my power back. And I continually do that as my life transforms. So owning and making a magical journal is another secret, another resource that you can activate and utilize to have greater access to the magic of your soul. N says, so many times I see so many synchronicities. I feel I'm so much in sync with the universe. Is this normal? It is exactly what you're born to be. It's your grace. It's the grace of being a spiritual person. But you see, we step out of grace in our childhood. We deny who we are. We fit in to try to fit in and conform. And when we do that, We set down our magic and our power. But one day, our soul says, one day when you're ready, you will pick it back up again. So is it normal? Yes, it is normal. And it's what's natural. It's the grace of your being. So just because and most people are not awake and don't realize it and are asleep, to them it's not normal at all. It's like, oh my God, this is a miracle. This happens only once in a while. But the more you are conscious and the more you choose it, the more you function from your soul, the more magic you have available to you. So, yes, you are on a spiritual journey. Yeah, magic is real. It is so real. And everybody begins by thinking, oh, it's possible. There's a possibility for magic. But when you understand the definition that reality in magic is changing reality, in alliance, in compliance with your will, your free will choice, your imagination, and your love. And everyone's doing it. Everyone's creating their reality magically. Most people aren't aware of it. They think it's happening to them. They don't realize it's their consciousness and their beliefs and their attitudes that are causing these things to happen. But once they do, and once they start changing those levels of consciousness, their reality has to change, and that's magic. Changing in alliance with what your will is, with your love. And it all hinges upon being conscious, awareness, being aware. Know thyself. The first great spiritual truth, know thyself and be aware, is so key, so vital. Nit says, I have chronic digestive problems and it's pulling my attention a lot more than I would want to, and I don't know how to deal with it. Okay, well, that's a whisper now. Your soul's trying to always communicate to you. So digestion problems is breaking things down. It's turning something into nutrition. It's breaking things down, and it's also about digesting it. What am I having difficulty in digesting about myself? Is it perhaps some of the pain of the past that I've elbowed out and I ignored and denied so I don't have to process it, so I can just forget about it, sweep it under the rug? Well, that big lump in the rug is coming to the consciousness, coming to the surface. And so maybe I need to look at what is it difficult for me to digest in my consciousness, not in food, but that's reflecting through the illusion called the body in digesting food. To look at it, is it my passion? And I think, Nits, for you, it's your passion, tied into your passion that you don't make time for, you don't digest, you don't process, you don't value. And look into that. Look to the passion and look to the pain of the past. That I need to maybe do some journaling. And I need to perhaps take some time to think and to process and to digest my pain and ideas around my passion that I've set down, that I let go of. And I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but that's what I'm picking up and tuning in as I tune into your vibration. And that can perhaps quickly help you to get your digestion physically back into balance and harmony. Yvonne, hi Yvonne. Your message, Michaiel, about valuing yourself is the second time I've heard this today. There was a session this morning on Insight Timer about valuing yourself. It's a synchronicity that you're sharing same this evening, and I just happened to link into your session. It's like a reinforcement message. Well, there's another synchronicity. There's a little miracle that just happened, isn't it? Because that's what miracles are amplified coincidences and synchronicities. That's what part of a miracle, a definition of a miracle. And it's when things happen beyond your imagination and belief. And that's a beautiful thing, that the universe gives us a gift. Well, Nit says, yes, but I'm giving the attention to this pain rather than other things, don't know how to change it. Well, go into the pain by journaling about it. Me and my pain. Not the pain in your stomach, but me and my relationship to pain. You see what I mean? And just talk about the pain. And all pain is, by the way, is separation and longing. And for you, it's a separation from your passion and a longing to feel connected, and greater passion and connection with is what passion really is. Whether it's through the arts or through creative measures, but to let your passion come alive. And so the pain is about writing, getting a journal book, me and my pain, and think about emotional and mental pain. Because you see, for physical pain to happen, it descends. We deny it on a spiritual level, which ultimately is our separation and longing to come home to ourselves, to value ourselves, to love ourselves. That's the ultimate spiritual pain, is when we deny that. And then it goes into the mental body, mental pain is the way I treat myself, the judgments, the criticism, all that in my brain. That creates mental friction, and then it becomes emotional pain, where I feel the pain emotionally. And if I don't deal with it on those levels, it eventually precipitates into physicality, into the physical pain that you're experiencing in your digestive tract. But that's not the source of it. That's the expression of it. And so as you can process and write me and my pain, and to dive into emotional pain, mental pain, and ultimately that feeling of what am I separated from, and at the same time longing for. What am I separated from and longing for? Because when you separate from something and you long for it, that stretch creates pain. When somebody dies in your life and they're no longer a part of your life, you're separated from them physically and you long for them in your life. That creates pain. So all pain is separation and longing. And as I mentioned, spiritual pain is when we've separated from our source, when we separated from God, Goddess, all that is, and we long. We have a hunger and a thirst to come home, to be true to ourselves, to embody and connect consciously with our soul and our spirit. And that's the ultimate pain. And then it precipitates into mental, into emotional, and then physically into physical pain. I hope that helps you. This wasn't meant to be a counseling session, but I hope that helps you. So I've given you a couple of the keys. The first key is to know and own that you're a magical spiritual being already. You always have been, and you always have the opportunity. And there'll be times when you step into your magic and times that you step out of it. That's called life. But then you'll be consciously aware that, hey, I can do this differently. And when I'm consciously aware that there's another way, guess what I can do? Choose. I have free will choice to choose to get back into alignment. When I get out of alignment, when I get burning the candle at both ends and I get out of balance, and it doesn't happen as frequently as it used to when I was younger, but now, because I'm more consciously aware and I do steps to prevent it, but when it does happen, one of the first things that gives me a clue that I'm burning the candle at both ends and I need to take a break and slow down is that my throat will start to tighten. I'll start to get like a scratchy throat or like the beginnings of a sore throat, because my throat chakra, my throat communication is my strength. It's one of my strengths, and it's also my weakness. I can't tell you how many years I spent being very judgmental, very critical, and that was through the voice, through the voice, until I woke up and opened my heart. But it was my greatest weakness, and it's also my greatest strength. There's the paradox of power and of strength. And so whenever I listen to the whispers, I listen to my body. When my body tells me, I'm fatigued, I'm tired, but I still don't slow down, then eventually it becomes physical, because it's like my soul's trying to say, hey, pay attention. You're burning the candle at both ends. You need to restore. You need to replenish. It's not doing to punish me. It's there to wake me up, to make me remember that I can do it differently, that I can take a choice to pause and to push in the clutch and to take care of myself. Like I said, it doesn't happen that frequently anymore because I'm much more self-care oriented, but it does happen from time to time. And so the same with you. What is your whisper? What do you know that you need some time out, when you need to take a break? You're trying to tell yourself that, but to think about that, to listen, to think about it, and to say, yeah, what do I need to do? And where does my stress manifest in my body? Which of the chakra points does it manifest? For me, it's the 5th chakra. Begins there. If I don't pay attention, it goes other places, but I don't do that anymore. But for those of you, look at where, now some people's back pain, they get tightened. They're tight in their back, the 1st chakra, the 2nd chakra, or it happens in their shoulders and their neck, or it happens in their head or their eyes or their senses. So to look and to think about, where do I get the whispers? Because it's not a punishment, it's a whisper to say, slow down. Those are ways that you can begin to activate the magic of your soul, is to First of all, recognize that you already are a spiritual, magical being. The second one is to value yourself and to know that struggle is directly proportional to your ability to deserve, to feel that you deserve. And the less you deserve, the more struggle you feel. And the more you deserve, the more magic you feel, the more magic that happens in your life. And then taking that time to pause, to push in the clutch, to make time for the most important relationship you'll ever have, which is with yourself. Now, we've been taught and conditioned from religion, oh, that's being selfish. No, it isn't. You can't give away something that you don't have. If you're out of balance, if you're frustrated and denying yourself, then what do you have to give to others except resentment and bitterness? You have to be in a place of power and strength. And you need to nurture and replenish yourself and to give of yourself. And so to take care of yourself is not selfish, it's essential. Again, these old beliefs that the ego has come up with to try to deny our power. And so self-care, taking care of yourself, owning that you are a magical being, and choosing to deserve, I deserve, and to look at what part of you doesn't deserve. Maybe there's a child in you that did something horribly wrong, felt like you don't deserve to enjoy your life. Go back and heal that child. Talk to that part of you. Bring peace to the pain of the past. That's the greatest form of self-love. People say, oh, how do I love myself, Michaiel? I do nice things. I pamper myself. I go and eat an extra dessert, or I do whatever. That's not being self-nurturing. It's about taking care of yourself and yourselves. You have a child inside of you. You have an adolescent. You have a teenager. You have a young adult inside of you that are emotional and mental. They're not physical anymore. That's an illusion. Remember that? The physical world is an illusion. Your body has matured and grown into a grown-up. Hopefully to become an adult one day. But the adult, to be the adult, there's very few adults in our world. There's a lot of grown-ups out there who are functioning as adolescents emotionally, mentally. But to be an adult, to fully step into your power, to be the adult, is to heal the inner child. So it's no longer adaptive, trying to fit in and belong. It's not there trying to get everyone's approval and praise, but that it's the free child, free to be curious and magical. There's a magical child in you that you once knew. And to activate that, I need to heal the wounded child. I need to heal the conditioned part of me. I need to go into a meditation and go back into the past, to remember the bedroom you grew up in, and go sit in the bed next to your child at night when they're sleeping, and just look at their innocence, see their beauty and their courage. Connect with that part of you and appreciate them, value them. That's how you value yourself. That's how you align so that you deserve, is you got to heal. And the greatest form of self-love is inner child work. And when you do that, you might feel tears well up in you of how hard you've been on yourself over the years. And you can forgive yourself. You can forgive yourself. That's the way to mature the child and the adolescent and the teenager. Go back to times of tragedy and pain and go there and talk to them and say, I am your future. And I am your friend. And I came back to let you know you're going to be all right. You're going to make it through this crisis. You're going to make it through the death of your mother. You're going to make it through the whatever they went through. Talk to that part of you. Love that part of you. That's on an emotional and a mental level of healing. And when you do, you shift and change. Remember what I said about the reality changes when you do? Nothing changes in your life until you do. And you is your consciousness. And when you change your consciousness, the reality has to change. So when you go in and heal the inner child and you go talk to that adolescent who has fear of intimacy or whatever, and you help them through that and let them know it's safe to be vulnerable, that people are friendly. There's a world out there, the conditioned child says, oh, don't talk to strangers. The world's a bad, an unfriendly place. Well, you believe that and create that reality. But when you can change it, your reality changes. And realize, no, the world is not an unfriendly place unless I create it that way. but what is my personal world that I'm creating? And to talk to the child, talk to the adolescent, to connect, to heal yourself in self-love is inner child work. That is the fourth key to activating the magic of the magical child that you once were. You believed in magic as a child, and then you got taught and conditioned to not believe in it. And now you have the choice. Am I going to choose it, or am I not going to? Am I going to live an enchanted life, or am I going to live a life of struggle and suffering? Both are available. You can grow and you can learn and you can get valuable lessons from both worlds, from both choices. But there comes a point, as a magician, there comes a point in your life when you realize, I've learned all the lessons that pain and struggle and suffering can teach me. I've learned all the lessons about that. And it's time for me not to regurgitate and do the same lesson over and over again, but to move beyond it, to go into the lessons of enchantment and magic and love and support and beauty, to celebrate my life and to create a reality that I love to live in. That's the challenge of the spiritual being. That's the challenge of the magician. Not just to choose it, but then to create it by changing your consciousness, changing your beliefs. Do you believe it's available to you? Do you believe it's possible? Because if you don't believe it's possible, if you don't believe it's available, it won't be for you. Whatever you choose to believe in becomes your reality. So open up to the possibilities of the magic, the miracles. Open up to the possibilities of the change and the beauty. And step into the magic of your soul. So inner child work, healing those parts of ourselves, so important. To love yourself and to align and change your consciousness so that you're no longer the victim, the weak one, the powerlessness, but you are stepping back and retrieving your power, and you're realigning with the truth of who you are through the different stages in your growth. To create a magical miracle journal, like I mentioned, to journal about all the magical times in your life, to go back into your memory, to remember those times and to write them down and to give them meaning and value and significance. That yes, you are, as I mentioned, the first secret, you are a powerful, spiritual, magical being. Every human being is, but most have stepped away from it, set down their power. But people are waking up and people are remembering and awakening to the truth of who they are, and they're starting to pick up their power. They're going to change the world consciously. Hear that. See, the future is up for you to create. The doomsdayers and those who are afraid of the future say, it's going to end, it's going to be apocalypse, and everything's going to die, and everything's going to fall apart, and we're all going to be doomed. The doomers and gloomers, well, that's a future for them. And if you want to believe that, your life will be doomed and gloomed, but not the rest of the world. But it's up to you to choose. Because the future is something you're going to consciously create. It's not going to happen automatically on autopilot like it has for the last thousands of years. That's the great awakening, is that we're going to consciously create and to consciously realign and remember who we are. Spiritual, empowered beings. And that is waking up. People are waking up to that. And you have already awoken up to that. And now it's time to own it, to value yourself, to take care of yourself, to take those pauses that you need to self-reflect. All of the secrets I've talked about during this 45, 50 minutes are all stepping stones that can lead you into a much more magical life, where you live your life magically every day. It's not something that happens once in a while or once in a blue moon. It happens every day. And you can live that life. It's available to you. But you have to choose it. You have to claim it. You have to value it. You have to value yourself. You have to remember who you are. And you have to take your power back from the past by healing the child and the adolescent and bringing yourself into alignment with that truth. And then the greatest magic is where there's no technique at all. I don't have to sit and write down what I want and why I want it and why don't I want it. I don't have to do any of that. I don't have to visualize and hope and, I just think it. I want this, and bam, it manifests. Literally, that quickly. It happens. where the highest magic is that of love. And love, when you are in the consciousness of love, you are connected to all that is. And when you make a choice, all that is responds. You make a choice and all that is responds. And that's the highest magic, where I just choose my life as I go along. And I don't say, well, I hope I'm going to have fun at the party tonight. I hope I'm going to have a good time at my friends and family's Thanksgiving or where. I hope, fingers crossed. No, I'm going to consciously create it. I'm going to choose it. That's what I choose, to have a great time tonight. I'm going to consciously choose to create a magical experience. I'm not going to hope and wish and maybe and cross my fingers, get my lucky rabbit's foot and carry it with me, all those, because I don't feel secure in my magic. Get all my crystals, make sure I have my crystals on me, because what if I don't have them? Oh my God, I hope it has been valuable for some of you, what I've had to share today. I know I've enjoyed talking about it. And let's see.